The fuel that's in this bottle is the same type of fuel that's outside in my Volkswagen Jetta diesel. And it's the same type of fuel that's in this Boeing 727. Now, while you may think it's strange that I'm carrying around a flask of fuel, you're going to think it's even more strange that I can take a drink. I heard someone over here go, ooh, trying to suppress a gag reflex. It's okay. It's non-toxic, it's biodegradable, it's made from waste cooking oil. And in fact, it doesn't even have much taste. But sometimes it smells like it has hints of crispy wontons or notes of tortilla chips. And this particular batch smells like straight up tater tots and french fries. Because the students at our high school took the leftover cafeteria oil from the high school and the middle school and turned it into biodiesel and used it on the school campus. And it's not just backyard chemistry, because Boeing is working on the same process. Now I'm going to tell you how a student inspired a teacher and inspired other students and other teachers and a school board and principals and superintendents to embrace this program and bring it to campus. But I'm also going to tell you how a student and this fuel fueled my decision to quit teaching a job that I really loved. And I need you to understand something. I'm trying to get back in the school. Maybe not as an English teacher, but as a mentor, part of the supply chain to help keep the program going. And I'm hoping to bring some of you with me. Now, the story spans 15 years, so I'm going to have to pick it up, and it's going to have to get a little fast and furious. In 1997, I became a high school English teacher at the age of 33. Career change. Some of my students were disappointed. First day of class, a few of my seniors went, "What? We thought we were getting a new teacher." I'm like, guys, I'm older and wiser. I know what you need to know. I've been there. I've been a waitress. I've worked for a couple of big companies. I know what it's like to interview, to take tests, to get a job. And I just finished up graduate school, and they told me there, my teaching professors, how hard it was going to be to get you to do well on those state exams, to raise your ACT scores, and to keep your attention and not bore you to tears because you got other things going on. So I'm prepared, and I was. Actually, I was pretty good at it. I was strategically planning to entertain my students, to be the pilot of the classroom, the captain of entertainment, so they would never be bored when they were studying the 15 uses of the comma and subject-verb agreement. I would go home after grading papers, and I would dig into finding YouTube videos and even TED Talks. What could I show them? Music to grab their attention before I slapped them with indefinite pronouns and an Elizabethan sonnet. And I don't know, I think I've got some students out here, if they realized that I was being a comedian to try to entice them to do well on those state exams, to get where they wanted to go. And I would even go as far as dressing up as a character from the movie The Matrix and taking some martial arts stands and rolling across the floor. And they would say, "Oh, Mrs. Weicker, we finally get to watch a movie in your class because you never let us watch movies." And I would say, "Oh, no, my little grasshoppers. We're reading the screenplay, all 300 pages, and we're going to figure out how these Wachowski brothers could finally craft an extended metaphor using a compound complex sentence. And then we'll watch the movie, the edited version." It's amazing what a pair of sunglasses will do and how they will make you feel cool. So for 10 years, I focused on what was going on inside my classroom because it's time on task, no money for field trips, liability issues, we can't get off campus very often, and I've got to do what I've got to do in that 90 minutes inside my four walls with all those books. And something started happening, and I didn't even realize it. Over 10 years, I disconnected myself, severed that umbilical cord I had with my community. And when I came from that and brought it into the classroom, I put my head down and drilled in on the tests and the papers and the curriculum and the books and the poetry and what they needed to do after they graduated? And was I teaching them what they needed to know going on out there in that real world that had just passed me by for the last 10 years? And then I had a student teach me a lesson. In 2007, a student, Elizabeth, in my senior English class, decided to do a project on biofuels, taking her family's waste cooking oil from a local barbecue restaurant right here and turning it into fuel. And when she wrote her paper and I read it and she brought her visuals to class and she talked about it, we were all jealous. Like, man, what a cool project, and it's going on right now all over the globe. And when she stood in front of her own community of judges and took her own sip of biofuels, I was like, man, I got to learn how to do this. Liz, you got to introduce me to your teacher so that he can teach me how to do this. And she did. I met Bob, Biodiesel Bob, lives in our community. And when I went and met him, he decided, look, little lady, you hang with me, and you'll be slicker than snot. Now that is an ugly metaphor. But it's true. I became really, really slick after my own graduation project with Biodiesel Bob. So when I went home, and I presented this to my husband, and I said, look, cheers, Bob. I said, look, honey, look what I made. And he said, that's not going in my truck. And I said, that's okay. I've picked out a 2006 Jetta TDI 5-speed diesel. It's in Colorado, and I need to go get it because I'm going to start making fuel. And we did. And I said, that corner of our shop where the tractor sits, I need that because I got some equipment coming to the house. And we cleared it out, and we did. And then after about 2 years, I became really, really good at it. And in 2009, I had mentored 15 other high school and college students on biofuel chemistry. Other students were going, oh my gosh, are you the teacher that's driving the car that smells like French fries? Can we eat like at lunch? Can you go crank your car up? I want to learn how to do that. Where can we learn? Hey, I've got a family member at Chapel Hill that's studying this stuff, or a community college. Very relevant science. So we decided, the science teachers got on board, they learned the process. We did a 2-week class, and so many students wanted to learn it, we decided, let's have proof of concept and commercialization. Let's see if we can get this on the campus. So we wrote the curriculum, the state accepted it. We went out and we visited other local community universities where they were doing this type of science and bioenergy projects, and they even came to our high school graduate students and professors and taught our students and teachers how to customize this science to meet the needs of what could actually work at our high school. And said they would feed us projects and let us co-work and collaborate on projects that they were doing. And if you'll notice in this picture, the teacher is standing back right beside of one of our students, and he's learning right then and there. So we all became students. Now you may be thinking, oh wow, how cool is this? This is extra curriculum. Well, it's not extra. It's supposed to be standard operating procedure. Now, this is a slide that the TED Talk coaches tell you not to put in your presentation because it's too busy. It's a whirling vortex of information, a cyclone, but you know what? Teachers and schools are supposed to be offering this every day. Preschool, high school, college. Cultural and global awareness, creativity, entrepreneurship. We're supposed to be helping our students become and believe they can be entrepreneurs. Now, when I was in school, it was the 3 R's. Reading, writing, arithmetic. And if I could sew a pillowcase and home ec, which I couldn't, but my friend did, dress out for PE, you were doing pretty well. Things have changed. Schools need to be offering the opportunity to practice this and develop it. You don't teach it. You have to live it and do it without fear of failure. And I decided, you know what? I don't know if I'm really preparing my students to be ready for this when they graduate. Well, after we started the biofuels program in 2011, it became a self-sustaining science curriculum. Community was helping. Foundations had given us, awarded us money to support the program. And things were going well. And if you will see in this picture, look closely, because I'm not in there. I'm back in my classroom. They're doing it without me. But guess what? I'm down in my basement with my own little lab, still making biofuels and working with transesterification and working with agriculture material and bringing my formulas and concoctions to class and giving it out to the gym and to the local humane society and some local veterinarians, and they're using the product and giving me feedback. So I'm working hard and pretending to be an entrepreneur because I've been bitten by this biodiesel bug that my students started. One day, one of my students, his name is Jake, I taught him in 9th grade and again in 12th, so he'd seen this whole Mrs. Weicker biofuel thing for 4 years. And he said, you know, you've even got a trademark that the art teacher across the hallway did, and I had gotten some students to do research projects with me. So they knew I was working on this after grading papers. And Jake said this, come on, Mrs. Weicker, when are you going to do something? And I stopped for a minute and I thought, you know, am I being a hypocrite? Do I need to become a student of the 21st century and really feel in my bones what it's like not to know what you're going to do after graduation? Where are you going to get the money to do something? We're sending these seniors out into the unknown and say, trust us, we've taught you what you need to know. But yet they haven't had the opportunity to experience and apply it. So I jumped. I quit. I jumped out of the classroom and it was ugly. I thought I was prepared with my hard hat and my harness, but I wasn't. But I knew that I needed to walk the walk. And so I immersed myself in engineering, and let me tell you, I'm the odd woman out in the bioenergy workshops and meetings because I'm an English teacher bringing sonnet and iambic pentameter and not thermodynamic chemistry. So I am watching a lot of YouTube videos, teaching myself and borrowing some of my students' chemistry books. And that bewildered, stupefied look that's on my face, I carried it around about 4 years. I even rented an old RV, much like a college student in a dorm, living off campus, left my community, packed up and went to a biodiesel industrial site 4 hours away and spent 4 months exploring biofuels and all the equipment needed. And after 4 months, I decided, I don't know what else to do. I don't know where to go. I've done all I can do, and I thought, you know what? I'm feeling a little bit like Dorothy in the land of Oz. So I said, you know what? I'm going home. And I clicked my heels, and I packed up, and I came back to Polk County. Best thing I ever did. Because the same people who helped the high school project helped me in my fledgling proof of concept commercialization project of trying to start a company. And I started smiling a lot. And students did internships. And I became part of the supply chain, the resources and the raw materials that our high school needed to help sustain and maybe grow this bioenergy program. I wanted to be a part of it. Now this is where I get to the point of asking you to come with me. We have had thousands, probably 5,000 seniors do graduation projects since it started in the state, in Polk County, in the state of North Carolina, and all over the United States. There's an opportunity to mentor a student, and many people in Polk County have done that. And there are businesses who have resources that could help support a teacher's idea or a project that maybe the school wants to work on, or maybe you could take in a senior or a high school student for an internship. There's plenty of opportunities for that. Now I want to introduce you to someone. I've never met him, but every time I watch one of his TED Talks, it is like an injection of steel into my spine. His name is Sir Ken Robinson, and he is a global education and creativity expert. And he says this: Now, in this room right here, there are people who represent extraordinary resources. Combined with the extraordinary talents of teachers, provide an opportunity to revolutionize education. We all care about education. We're all stakeholders in it. And we can all participate locally. I always worried about being a boring teacher, and if anyone out there that hears this is a boring teacher and you're boring and you don't care, then you need to do something about it. And if you don't want to do something about it, then you need to quit. But I live in a community that embraces change and dynamic projects and encourages us. There are students who wake up every day hungry for knowledge and something is interesting and hoping that an English teacher doesn't bore him or her to tears. Parents wake up every day and cross their fingers that they're sending their child to a school that's going to get them prepared for the 21st century and the future. And schools and superintendents are embracing communities and saying, we need help. We all know about buying local and eating local. And we can educate local. We can do what we can with what we have right here, right now. It's too important not to. Thank you.